Ozzie Jurek joins me on the line right now, though. He's joining me live from Berlin. Lots of action. You know where the action is, don't you, Ozzie?
Well, there's so much action here today, you wouldn't believe it. We have the West German soccer final. Then there is the 500-year evangelical celebration of Martin Luther's nailing the thesis onto the church wall. There's hundreds of thousands of people here, just packed. But what do I call you now, Mike? Do I call you Obi-Wan Kenobi or Dark Vader?
Yeah. Well, let me talk to you about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Alec Guinness made $50 million for those roles. The reason is he was smart enough to get a percentage of the profits. While Harrison was getting 10,000, he got a percentage of the profits, made over 50 million.
Fantastic, yeah.
So you can just call me old.
Well, I've been traveling, of course, as you know, from Prague, and I came through a lot of the famous cities of Dresden and Wittenberg and Potsdam and so on, and of course the East Germany, and they are, although they were 27 years now amalgamated, some of those towns are really, really been hit by people leaving, and the real estate values have crashed because I guess values go where people go.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, eh? That I was going to ask you about that distinction between former East Germany and West Germany, and you still see that huge distinction in real estate values.
Well, it's essentially an economic thing. This was a communist system, so you had agriculture was communal based, and so the problems are not just that people leaving; it's why they're leaving. Some things were simply made better in the West. The factories were better, the products were better, so the East Germans had to close down, and the communists let almost everything disintegrate. I mean, we saw some tender loving care. I mean, much tender loving care houses, but still, fixable. On a quarter of an acre for about 20,000 euros, and Mike, no takers.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it is a reminder. We've talked about this, I know, but what worries me about all the talk in real estate in our country from politicians is they want to create affordability through killing demand. That is not a good idea. Yeah, you want to create or mitigate some of the challenges of affordability. You've got to do it through supply, which helps the economy. But literally, think about that. I mean, we're always talking about raising taxes. Whether it's a purchase tax or whether it's a foreign buyer's tax, whether it's more stringent mortgage rules, it's all attacking the demand side. And you're getting a first-hand look there, Ozzie. You say there's no demand. Look what happens. As you say, you've always told us, real estate values goes where people do, and where people go where the jobs are. So it's a very dangerous thing to be wishing for a down market.
Yeah, so a lot of people from East Germany, of course, moved to Berlin. They moved to Leipzig or the total western cities. And so in Berlin, 51% of Berliners only own their own place. 49% are tenants. So there's half of the population is not that interested in real estate, but values have really risen sharply, particularly in the last year. And so the action is all on the more upscale side. But the interesting new thing or different thing in Berlin and some of the big cities in Germany is that a new condo is valued far higher than a used condo. And primarily, of course, the used condo could be very old. We have the city is hundreds of years old. So 1,000 square foot unit in the middle of Berlin is between 350,000 to $1,000,001 if it's new. 1,000 square foot unit used is 260 to 750,000, much cheaper. But like all big cities, Mike, there's a need for low-cost housing. There's a construction boom in Berlin. 27% of all construction is in Germany is now in Berlin, and yet nothing is being built on the low-cost housing side.
Let me just, I want to change gears for a second, Ozzie. You told me a while ago that you looked, at Craigslist, and you were looking at condo assignments, and I didn't get the significance in that till recently when I watch, so many condo, so I buy a pre-sale. And then I look at Craigslist and I watch the price escalation. This is a market that really seems hot.
Yeah, we're writing about it in our newsletter that came to my attention again because we doubled the number of units that are being offered. There was 98 units on Thursday on Craigslist, both from private sellers and realtors. And remember, the pre-sale condo market is booming and the resale market is booming. 44% of all sales in April sold for more than the list price. So no question, it's something to look at.
Give us a couple examples.
Yeah, well, first of all, if you looked at, say, the Voda at Falls Creek, a 464 square foot unit was priced originally at about $360. Now it's offered at $590. The Heatley on Strathcona Park, the pre-sale for 760 was about 400. Now it's 750. And so across the board, Mike, buildings are up 20 to 30% in terms of offering on Craigslist to do an assignment.
Very quickly, so is there anything to be careful of when you're looking at if you're thinking about buying a... Oh, okay.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're buying an assignment, you must be confident prices will go up. Still keep looking at the building. You're still buying that developer. Mid-price developments generally seeing the highest price hikes. Assignments of luxury units are actually only close to pre-sale values. Remember, there's no foreign tax on assignments. Pre-sale contracts are not subject to the BC rules on assignments yet. So there is something to look at.
Well, that's interesting. Well, they should just go to Duroc.com. I think that's my solution to that one. Check out Duroc.com and get all the details on that. But it's a fascinating side of the market. I don't hear anybody else talking about Aussie, and so that's great stuff. Now, look, tell me when they're kicking you out of Europe.
Well, actually, I'm heading to London next week. I'll be back next weekend, though. But remember, very quickly, I just saw Schloss Wörlitz from Prince Franz Leopold, a classic castle. He created large preserved lakes and grounds. He was very progressive in many ways, not in the least of which he's purported to have sired more than 350 children. Mike, we live in the wrong century.
My God, 350 children. I mean, you're even going to have, Wilt Chamberlain's going to be jealous of that number. Ozzie, go out and have a great trip to London. We look forward to having you back.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Thanks for taking the time.